What's going on YouTube? This is another episode of Everyday Tech with Stan JB. I, of course, am Stan JB. And today, we're going to talk about a nice little product known as Google Stadia. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first got this, I used it for about a week and I was ready to make my video. I was ready to bash this thing, tell you how terrible my experience was with it. I was going to just beat this thing into the dirt. But I gave myself a little bit of time, figured out where my issues are coming from, and now I can actually talk about it in a more educated standpoint. So, it doesn't mean I'm going to go super easy on this thing, but I at least understand why I was having the issues to an extent. And it helped me figure out the best use case for this product. Because for some people, it's a great idea. But for a lot of people, probably not. And I'll explain why. Now, first thing first we're going to talk about is the hardware. Because the only piece of hardware you get with this guy, next to the Chromecast Ultra, is your Google Stadia controller. And honestly, it's a very basic controller. It feels nice in the hand. It's not too big, it's not too clunky. It's also not too small to the point where your hands are like cramped trying to hold it. But I will say this, it does feel very plasticky. It's not going to be the best quality that you have like an Xbox controller or a PS4 controller or PS5 controller or anything of that matter. I will compare this more to like a Nintendo Switch controller, not the Joy-Cons, but when you actually buy one of their controllers, it has that kind of feel to it. You know, a little plasticky, but it doesn't feel like it's just gonna break. It feels like if it breaks, it's because I wanted to break it. I know for a fact that I can break this, but I have to want to break it. So I guess that's a good thing. Or I guess it's an okay thing. The funny thing is, you kind of get a mix of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox controller. You see, you have your XYBA that you see on the Xbox, but your analog sticks, they are in the same position as, let's say, a PlayStation 4 controller. So, I guess best of both worlds. Once again, with that plasticky feel, the buttons are super clicky. You can hear all that, right? Yeah, you're not gonna be like gaming in secret at night. People are gonna know what you're doing. They're just gonna hear this all night long. And that's kind of a sign for me that it's a semi-cheap controller when it's that clicky. There's also not a lot of resistance on the triggers. Other than that though, it's not bad. I just wouldn't put this on the list of my top favorite controllers at all. It feels a little better than third-party controllers that you would get on the PlayStation or Xbox. Take that as you want. I am just okay with this controller. In the middle though, you get the Stadia button, which brings you back to that Stadia menu. Now, this button is the main reason I wanted to throw this controller out of a window. You see, when I first got this and I was using the Google Stadia, I was using it first in my bedroom with my Chromecast Ultra. And at first it was okay until I pressed that little button. Once I pressed that button, for some reason, my controller stopped working. It just lost connection. I adjusted my settings, I changed my Wi-Fi around, went to 5 gigahertz instead of 2 gigahertz, 2.4, sorry. But nothing seemed to work. I would switch it back to my phone, and then switch it back to the TV. Nothing seemed to work. I moved my Chromecast Ultra into my living room, where it was closer to my router. It seemed maybe the connection was the problem. And I still had it. I still had that issue. If I held this button or I pressed this button, 9 times out of 10, I would not be able to access this controller without resetting everything. I was stuck in game. You want to be able to use your controller, especially in the middle of a firefight. I don't want to just die because I pressed this little button. Google contacted me. They were pretty quick to see my tweet, and they helped me with it. They tried to figure out what it was, and I will be honest, they were great. I'm impatient. At one point, I just stopped caring, and I figured I'm just going to make this review and trash these guys. Thankfully, I gave it about another week. I started using the Google Stadia controller on other products. Like, I connected it to my computer just like you would on the Chromecast Ultra, no cords or anything, and it worked flawlessly. no lag, no latency issues. I can press this button all I want and nothing would blow up in my face. Great. Plugged it into my phone directly using the cable, and that worked just as well. That probably worked the best, honestly. Anytime you have a cabled connection, you're going to be happy. So at first I thought the problem was my controller. I was ready to bash this controller and say this is the part of the product that's holding Google Stadia back. I honestly now believe it's how Google Stadia works with the Chromecast Ultra, which is the dumbest thing ever, because Chromecast Ultra comes in a box with the Google Stadia. Google, if you are going to make a product that comes with another one of your products, you might want to make sure they are 100% compatible, because I had way too many issues for me to recommend ever using this with a Chromecast Ultra. But if you want to use this with one of those clips on your phone and a little wired connection, oh, it's going to be amazing. It's pretty nice for gaming on the go. Honestly, no complaints. If you're going to use it on your computer, fantastic. I had no issues. My monitor is better than my TV probably anyway, so I actually prefer using my computer screen. I will say though, I do not trust this when playing competitively online. Yes, it works very well when you're playing single player games, but if you're going online, you are at a disadvantage. And that's just the complete nature of Google Stadia in general. It being a streaming service with a Wi-Fi based controller, it's not the best for competitive gaming. I don't care how good Google is at fighting latency issues. When it comes to competitive gaming, I don't recommend. I also feel like Google missed an opportunity to just put that little phone clip in the box. That would have been a perfect addition. Why that like $5 piece isn't in the box already, no idea. But if you want people to play on their phones as well, just throw it in there. It's pretty solid. So, honestly speaking, when it comes to the games, I had no problem. I was playing Borderlands and just as fun as ever, you know, getting my little headshots in, using the crazy weapons. I didn't have any bit of lag, except for a few times where my internet service just wasn't as strong as it should have been. But through controller to my computer screen or my phone screen, it was smooth. I actually was surprised because I tested it out almost at launch, and man, I could feel the latency back then. When I hit a button, I could see it wait before the character would do it. Fast forward till today, and man, it was unnoticeable. I am actually extremely pleased with how much Google has improved their latency. The things that are holding Stadia back though, honestly, the controller. They need to come out with a 2.0 version that's a little bit more premium, that has a solid feel with a better antenna in it to drop those Chromecast connectivity issues. Also, I would love to see some exclusive games on Google Stadia or some more free-to-play games. I don't know why Asphalt 9 isn't on Google Stadia when it's on my Nintendo Switch and it's on my phone. I would love to see, you know, some of those games you can get on, let's say, the Android Play Store on your Stadia. Imagine playing Call of Duty Mobile on your Stadia. That'd be so fun, man. It should be a thing. Or Modern Combat 5 or 6 or 8, whatever they're on. Those games would be great on Stadia, as well as some Google-made, full-fledged premium games that you can only play on Stadia. That's what they need to separate themselves from the competition. Because let's face it, the competition, they're good. They're really good. And they have a much better selection of games at the moment. So Google needs to step up to stand out. But I think they got it. And I really want to believe that they can. I really want to believe that the next generation controller will be much better than this. I really, really want to believe that those Chromecast Ultra issues I'm seeing will be worked out. Especially on their new Chromecast that allows Google TV. When they finally implement Google Stadia on that guy, I want to believe it's going to be the perfect combination of streaming and gaming. Because I really want to believe that this is the future of gaming. The way everyone's looking right now, streaming your games online just seems super convenient. especially when we get our butts outside again, man, I tell you, I am not going to be holed up in a little hotel room without something to keep me entertained. I can only browse Facebook and Twitter so much before I decide to bash my head into a wall. But having something like this on the go is going to be really good. Now, like I said, I can recommend this for certain people, and that is those guys that want to play on their phone, that guy that may have a Chromebook or just has no problem walking around with a tablet to game on. Those guys are going to have no problem, because I had no problem with this controller connected to those products. But if you plan on using this to replace your home gaming console at the moment and use it on your big screen TV, that's where I have to draw the line and say Google Stadia is not ready. It is not ready for mainstream. It is right now really good for some special use cases. For me, it actually makes sense because I tend to be on the go. I am barely ever home. And when I am home, I'm barely able to access my TV. Either the baby's watching like some random Dora the Explorer episode, or the girlfriend's watching who knows what. So me, I'm sitting in my bed playing Destiny on my little Stadia controller. Or I'm at work, I go on lunch, I don't feel like going to the floor just yet. Maybe I ate my food too fast. Play some Borderlands 3. These things are really cool. These things are really convenient. And I think that's where it stands out. It's a very convenient option. It's just not the best. So, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what streaming services for games you guys use. And if you have any ideas on how Google can improve the Stadia experience, drop it in the comments. Once again, thanks for spending your time with me. Everyday Tech signing out. Peace.